Yeah, so everybody, welcome. We're on camera. We've got the gameplay recording. This is our networking panel for PAX Online, PAX Aus Online 2021. It's a mouthful, but that's what happens when COVID happens. So for today's panelists, we've got Phid. Phid, turn around. In game.
Turn around in game. Where are
Hello.
you?
I'm right.
There we go.
Hello. We've got Phid, Influencer Specialist at GGWP Academy. We have got Leto.
Hello.
I would also call another influencer specialist, influencer management specialist, and we've got PHIZZI, not an influencer manager specialist, but a content creator and someone who can give us some insight from the creator side of things.
Later, you're about to get eaten by a zombie.
Yes.
That's all part of professional life, man. You just, the first thing is to be prepared.
Yes, always be prepared.
I haven't even started the question yet, but that's okay.
Okay,
Hi.
I may die. That's fine.
Leo is dead.
I was trying to defend myself with a melon slice, which is
Or just be
usually.
prepared to sit around and watch other people burn to the ground.
Yes.
Thank you for the watermelon, Leo.
No problem.
Hi, I'm
Look,
Fred.
I've always thought that as a part of professional networking, being generous with death melons is just something that you need to get used to in the industry.
Replace death melons with time. I am Fran. I am the community manager at GGWP Academy. I have worked with content creators as community manager, as kind of event manager, campaign manager in different stages of my life. So I'll be bringing some of my thoughts to this panel from that perspective, especially from like a marketing and campaign side of things. So yeah, I've got a list of questions in front of us. Actually, Leto, I forgot to mention, could you tell us more about your company before we actually get started in this panel? And then I will tell a little bit more about GGWP Academy as well.
Oh, okay. I am Leto. I represent streamers professionally as well as do digital marketing campaigns at Gamer Talent. You may find... Thanks for that wince there, PHIZZI.
The name just gets me every time.
Yeah. And I represent PHIZZI professionally. So I am not going to... I'm contractually not allowed to diss him at any point during
he's
this.
not allowed.
Unless he's giving you
You're
prior
allowed
approval.
to diss him though, right, PHIZZI?
Oh, absolutely, of course.
There's a line item in the contract that says that. Yeah, he's allowed to... Yeah.
Yeah.
So my first question for you, Leto, is how did you come up with such a creative name for your company?
I genuinely do have a backstory to that. I heard a tell that a very major campaign that ran over here was ran with a specific talent who didn't really fit the brief because they Googled biggest gaming influencers in Australia, and the first one that came up they went with. So Gamer Talent is, if we're talking about networking, knowing your audience is pretty good, and Gamer Talent is specifically determined for a brand manager, which is someone who's going to come up, or a community manager who doesn't really know the gaming scene but wants to break into it to see what's going on. Right?
There's a really good answer to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was taking the piss.
Yeah.
That's maximum search engine optimization.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna make the SEO comment. That's some good SEO right there.
Start off as a copywriter.
I may as well do the GGWP origin. As you can tell, for whatever reason, whoever non-gamer watches this in the PAX Aus Online program, GGWP, good game, well played. That's like the full name of the company, but we always usually go by GGWP. And we come up very nicely in Google if you also Google GGWP.
Really now?
Yes.
Testing it.
Our focus as a company is education, training, and resources for content creators, especially for people who don't really know what it's about, are curious about it, want to get started. And so we've got an app with training videos. We've got AMAs, interviews. We do fun panels like this at events and stuff. And we have, a really strong community of content creators that share advice with each other and, help us with our mission to kind of just support content creators. I guess outside of whatever it is that you do as a brand manager, all the other holistic stuff around there. Is it just going to turn into fisticuffs?
Max,
Look, he started it.
so many parallels here to networking that I will try to make as many puns as I can. But I think first of all, the most important question is the one I have on my list here, which is, why is networking important? And like, can you start too early?
It's dangerous to go alone.
When networking, yes.
Yeah. I mean, networking is just meeting people, right?
Yeah.
It's a fancy professional word for something that everyone does anyway, right? There's the kind of no person is an island, right?
Yeah.
Every time you watch a stream, you're networking because, you know, if you're talking in chat, that's networking,
Yeah.
right? Everything is networking as long as you're talking to another person. Please don't put wood in front of me while I'm talking. It's very important.
Okay, put it beside you.
Hey, a tree.
I mean, I think. Oh, you want to keep going?
Yeah. Essentially, like, it's important because it's the parallel of shots you don't take, right?
Yeah.
Every person you meet, whether you're after just friends, people to stream with, business opportunities, or anything, is a potential variable in your life, right? It's like for a while, I literally was like, every time I'm going to get on a plane, I'm going to talk to the person next to me for about a year of my life. And during that time, I ended up meeting like a guy who just did Bon Jovi's bathroom, or someone who just gave me a job opportunity back when I was doing freelance.
Wow.
Or at one point, I shared a plane ride with someone in a cult who ended up thinking that I was part of their cult. And then we had to split a hotel room because the plane got delayed. And then they found out I wasn't part of the cult in the hotel room.
Oh no.
And I slept the rest of the night with my key in between my fingers, just in case they were a lot more disheveled than they looked in their first impression. So like, networking has, you know, you respects your boundaries, because otherwise you might end up in a cult. But like, those are experiences that like have led to work, led to like friendships. I still talk to, I talk occasionally to this one Mormon priest who I met when he was going to California from Virginia to like plead for LGBT rights within the church, right?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So like, these are, it's just the more variables you put into your life, the more chances of outcome of something interesting, creative, good, or fun happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the long answer is, you can never start too early.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, for the never start too early thing, I'm going to actually give the professional answer here, right? I personally think, like, the moment you have decided to have a career in anything on digital, like, you should be having a Twitter account, you should be having an Instagram account, all that sort of thing. Arguably, I would say bare minimum have a Twitter account. And you should be networking and meeting people and joining discussions and things like that, literally off the bat. Even if you're still just exploring where you want to go and what you want to do, because that's, my personal belief is Twitter's like just the easiest place to meet people, meet like-minded people, meet some dickheads along the way as well. But it's just an awesome platform for that. But even like in real life, heading along to events and meeting people at events, just exactly what you said, Leto, of, you know, you did it on a plane, but just heading along to PAX, for example, right? The amount of people I have met who are now friends or business acquaintances at PAX just by talking to them.
Yeah, right. Or not even necessarily talking to them, just like, it's sometimes just being in the room at the same time long enough. Someone,
Hi, Leto.
Yeah, I was going to say, who built the death pit?
That was me.
I fell into it already.
You've been around for long enough. What's your standpoint on this?
Yeah, so I've been around for 6 years, just to give some backstory. Streaming for 6 years, been around Twitch since 2012, so 9 years.
Random spiders.
Yeah, so my approach to networking has always been kind of like, I guess, old school. Very much been an organic approach. Like, for instance, when I started streaming, I never intended it to be a career. And you'll find that with a lot of creators, they don't ever go into it assuming it will be a career. It's kind of just like hey, it works out along the way. You meet a lot of people. So for me, the answer, to be really basic, is you can't start networking too soon. In a way, the second you are in the content creator world, even as a viewer, if you are chatting, talking, being a part of a community, you are already networking, right? Like you kind of just network by existing in a space. And like creators are no different to like anyone, really. Like you will walk into a space and you will find people that you gel with and you click with.
Yeah.
And then like my generation came up, we were like probably the second big wave of people on Twitch. And we just happened to kind of all come up as a group. We just all happened to know each other. And that's something I think that's privy to the space that is the Australian content creator scene. Everyone kind of knows each other. It's weird. Whether it be like via Twitter, via Twitch, via going to like PAX.
Does make it easy to network in that way, though, right?
Yeah. Really lucky being in Australia.
Really
so like, if you're someone that's wanting to get into the whole thing, sometimes it is as easy as going to a streamer's chat, hanging out. My story started with rocking up to a streamer called CD and the Third, not Australian. Ended up hanging out, chatting, becoming a mod. I started streaming, and the weekend I was rated with 1,000 people just because I'd hung out and chatted there for a while.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. And I feel like the main message we're getting is you can never start too early, and you never know where opportunities come from. Is what it sounds like you guys are saying.
It is kind of a numbers game, right? It's important, like with that caveat, it's important to network meaningfully. You're not just trying to cram as many people into your brain on like an acquaintance level as possible, right?
Yeah.
That if you've been around in the sector, like you can spot people who are flitting between groups trying to make everyone their best friend and get things out of them.
Yeah.
A bit innately after a while, right? And like there's nothing wrong with wanting to network, right? You shouldn't demonize that, but by the same standard, there's a certain amount of which like you need to be aware that you're talking to people, not network cards, right?
Yeah.
You're not collecting fucking Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you want to network efficiently, it needs to be meaningful rather than walking up to someone and being like, here's a business card, this is my name. A lot of people have done that to me, and like by no means, I don't have a lot of people that come up to me, but I do not remember 99% of them if they do that. No, I will say I do not remember 100% of them if you come up with a business card and a name and like a 30-second interaction. I will forget, So that's like, I wouldn't even consider that networking. That's like an introduction. Like networking is a lot
because I almost every year before PAX, I've got to put a tweet out sort of apologizing to people before PAX to say, hey, when you come up to me, I love meeting people. I want to talk to you, and I want you to talk to me. But just remember that if you've only ever spoken to me on Twitter, or if I met you at PAX last year, chances are I forgot who you are because I meet so many people in my day job, or I met so many people at that particular PAX last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, or all the PAXs that you've ever gone to have like condensed into an amalgamation of like, oh, what year did I even meet this person or that person? And now everyone is just like all in one big condensed ball. You don't remember anything.
Yeah.
My general rule is that unless you know that they know you, just soft introduce yourself, because there's a decent chance that especially on something like digital, you could have seen them 100 times online. They might have seen you twice, right? Yeah. There's no way of knowing that if you don't know them, right? I've had people come up to me and go, hey, Leto, and then afterwards being like, you do recognize me, right? Yeah. I'm Jafuton420 on Twitter. I was like, your anime profile picture does not make it easy to tell that that's you. Right?
Yeah, you look nothing like a transformer.
Exactly.
I was going to say, you guys have kind of segued into my next question, actually, which is kind of like, what's the difference between going networking online and offline? And we've kind of started off on the offline networking side, because if PAX were on, you guys have kind of already talked about like what that looks like with business cards and soft intros into things, and it looks kind of different between online versus offline. Or are there principles between the two that you guys think apply equally?
Well, I feel like I've been talking too much. Anyone else want to field that, and I'll go after?
I feel like I had a pretty big monologue. Is anyone, Phid, you want to jump in on that one?
I'm gonna be really honest here and say I got so distracted with my mining that I didn't hear the entire question.
It's
Alright.
okay.
Yeah, I'm filling in my death pick. Can you?
Well, and I can go again. I'm just conscious that I talk on.
Creeper,
whoa,
creeper,
whoa.
creeper, creeper,
Okay, what was the question?
Sorry, I saw you climb up that ladder with the creeper, and I was very concerned. The question is there, sorry, creeper. Is what's the difference, or what are the similarities and differences between online and offline networking? We've kind of touched on things like, you know, business cards. What's kind of the I guess we'll start with offline. What's the best practice for like offline networking?
Right, so this is actually an interesting one, especially with our times at the moment, right? So we're all sitting at home. This is how we do our work. It's how we network. It's how we get our entertainment. It's how we meet people. It's everything. So to answer, sort of break down those questions, right? So the business card has sort of been the one holdover from the old days.
Yeah.
When it's come to networking, like we all still appreciate a good business card and stuff like that. But I would actually argue that this day and age, the digital business card is your all my links account or anything like that, or your link tree or whatever. So I think almost everybody on their Twitter account needs to link to that now, or at least on their wherever their link on Twitter links to. But I think it should be on your Twitter account. So have that link to your main profile being wherever your content lives. But have all your other platforms and stuff on there, because if I'm coming across you and I find what you're doing interesting, I want to know where I can follow you elsewhere, where I can see what else you're up to, blah, 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 all that sort of thing. So that's your business card, I believe. And then that's backed up by just your general content and how awesome your content is. This is actually probably the biggest benefit of networking online as opposed to an event like PAX in real life is PAX in real life, you're almost doing a cold pitch because you've got nobody's got time for you to go, hey, I'm a Twitch streamer or I'm a YouTuber. Here, let me show you on my phone all the content I make. No one's got time for that at an event. But on digital, it's unique in the fact that if you've got somebody's attention already, they probably, and Leto, you probably do this when you meet a new content creator online or come across someone on Twitter, is, oh shit, I want to check out what they actually do.
Yeah, I mean, what I started doing from like my content creation side of things is my physical business card is just an RFID chip that you put in front of a phone and it opens the link, right?
Yeah.
So you might not have time to check me out because we're at a bar or something, but like you need to have that kind of like second level of it, because the other thing about it is that like you can't tell anything about a person from a online interaction what their content is like if they're a streamer, right? Some of the most outgoing people I know don't talk much on stream because they are focused on gaming. They might be like a speedrunner or something, and some of the most introverted people are yelling profanities into the microphone for 6 hours a day.
It's very different.
Sounds like you're describing me, Leto.
Which one? The
I
first one or the
contractually
second?
couldn't be possibly.
Yeah, so I guess what you guys are describing would be something like, for specifically online, would be like casting a net, basically. Like personally, I wouldn't consider that networking. I would consider it like just having a presence online. And I guess you could argue that, you know, like being present in anything is kind of networking. But yeah, it's like kind of casting a net and being like, hey, this is me, and you can find me very easy. That's always a benefit to being online with, like, you know, readily available information. Through the click of a link, you can find out everything about someone, all their channels, all their stuff is just there.
See, I would argue though, Fizz, that just having an active Twitter account and logging in and seeing what people are talking about and responding with people and joining conversations and stuff like that, that's the equivalent of networking at a bar now.
Yeah, right now, in the time that we live in, that's basically the option you have. And that is online networking, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that goes back to the point that I was making earlier. By just existing in a space, you are networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it passively, which, like, I think, for instance, let's say you put out a tweet targeted at no one. It could be like, I don't know, I like boobs or something, and then people all interact with it. Like, I wouldn't consider that networking, but it is in a way, like, I would consider it more like advertising than networking. But like, if you were then to talk to people in that thread, suddenly it's networking. It's like a passive approach to networking. It's kind of like you come to me rather than like I will go out and network.
See, personally, I love that approach when someone comes to me rather than somebody trying to grease me up and sending me a DM and things like that.
Absolutely.
Like,
It's like more
interact with me online
comfortable, isn't it?
first, and then
Actually, it's been a real boon in some ways for like people who aren't particularly amazing at like bar culture, which is still a thing that we can't seem to eradicate from gaming. Like the idea that you need to go to a bar and get get plastered to network is not something that's true, but it is true for some.
And when we go back to having in real life events, can you not try and network while you're absolutely plastered at a bar?
Can someone just go network with me while I drink boba?
Go to a bar and hang out, and if you want to talk to people, do that. But please.
But on the other hand, it's saved me a lot of money going to bars with the people who do that. And like the other thing is it's a real boon for introverts in some ways, because like people aren't going to bars and seeing and getting all the people they need for a campaign at that bar because they're the people in the room, right? Being able to email people or talk to people online and have just as much of it's almost like a blind foot in the door, right? There's no introvert filter. If you can write an email, you're just as much off. You're someone with your stats is equally as likely to get some product opportunity or something as you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. It's not quite as much. It's always good, it's not quite as much. It's not quite as much contingent on having done very specific steps to get those people that you know.
Yeah.
Right? I guess companies are approachable online.
I guess to bring up another point, it's like sometimes, like if you are at a bar, for instance, like if you go to a bar with an intent to network, like giving people business cards and stuff when they're smashed, it's like you're doing it wrong already, right? Like if you can have the ability to read the room and go to a bar specifically just to have fun and meet people and hang out and chat and develop a genuine connection, that is the best kind of in-person networking you can do. If you make a genuine friend out of someone, way better than having them as like a, you know, like this is like a professional acquaintance.
Yeah, 100% agree.
I want to say, and I don't know if you guys get this, I can see this both online and offline, but I can see someone with an agenda from a mile away, and it can be a bit of a turnoff depending on what the approach looks like.
Look, I was just about to say, like, I don't have an issue with somebody having an agenda. Like, I always assume that most people who come up and want to meet me at a bar or whatever at an event have somewhat of an agenda, right? They know, Phid's that guy who gets sponsorships for this deal, for this people. I don't mind that. I think my issue is if it's a very, like you were saying, a disingenuous way of doing that networking. Like if you can't, if you don't want to have just a casual conversation, introduce yourself and all that sort of thing as well, or if it's just, hey, Phid, you look after this brand, how do I get on that?
Yeah, so there are some times and places that would be okay, right? Like there are some where it's like, ugh. I guess I've always been a believer of like clear communication is kind communication. You know, like if you want something from someone and you're able to articulate the want in like not a crappy way, then it's always a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing as well, like I've seen people get upset when people have got will say, hey, I want to work with this person, but I don't know them. Can you make an introduction to me? And you see people being dicks about it and say, well, that's my connection. So if you if you can help out your friend or your connection or whatever by introducing them to somebody, do it. Like I've been introduced to some really dope content creators by other bigger content creators that know me, right? And I've discovered some really cool content creators who may not have a massive following, so they just haven't come up on my radar. But those people I've ended up working with because I like the work that they do. I like the stuff that they're doing. And I've only had them come up because they've been introduced to me. So I think to be that whole thing about being kind as well is, introducing your mates is also part of networking. It's sharing
absolutely, yeah.
sharing those relationships or whatever.
You know that like really generic saying that is, I guess, applicable to everywhere in life, where it's like, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's like kind of this industry turned up to like 11 out of 10. Like it's there's a lot of luck in the content creating. There's like a lot of things you can do, a lot of luck and a lot of people, a lot of knowing people.
It's actually funny how surprised I am when I come across somebody who is absolutely killing it on Twitch or on YouTube, getting massive views, doing really well, and you get talking to them, and you're like, oh, so do you know this person who happens to play the same game? No, I've never met them, never.
Yeah.
Oh, well, have you ever got any sponsorship opportunities or anything like that? No, never. I just didn't know who to talk to. But how did you make it this far without networking with anybody? That does happen, right? And I think that's that stroke of luck that you were talking about. Is sometimes there is just a bit of luck, or they're just really dope content creators and manage to do it all by themselves. But I think that's a rarity this day and age of.
Oh yeah, definitely today. Like I got away with it, right? Like I told the story of how I got rated by a big streamer, right? Like concurrently, it didn't give me a massive boost. It got me over like the 1-2 viewers immediately, which is the hardest part.
The hardest part is getting your first viewer and turning that into two.
Yeah, and I legitimately don't think I networked with anyone in this country apart from a few people in Brisbane until after I was partnered. That would work back then, but now it would be really, really hard.
We would have been partnered around about
by the way,
time,
friend.
right?
What was that?
We wouldn't have been partnered. We would have been partnered about the same time, PHIZZI, right?
I was 2016, I think.
I think same, actually.
Oh yeah.
But
it was definitely a different beast back then, though, right? Like,
yeah, there weren't as many Australians because there's just the internet infrastructure wasn't there.
Yeah,
but I got partnered on 360p.
Yeah, same.
Terrible quality streams, so it was a very different ballgame. It's a lot harder to do that now. But you can get surprisingly far in terms of just pure content creation, not networking. But it depends what you define as networking, because I was still raiding people, they were still raiding me, I was still meeting people. Just because I wasn't talking to Australians doesn't mean I wasn't.
Yeah, I guess that's like
other people.
I guess I was like 100% online in and by just being in an ecosystem, that was my whole idea of networking at that point.
Yeah.
And it worked.
There are so many people who don't consider that there is a streamer next door to them, kind of thing, right? Yeah. I know about 4 people within a 5-kilometer radius of here who are partnered, right?
Okay. So unrelated but related question. Do you guys ever look around at apartment buildings and look for RGB lighting and wonder if they're a streamer?
Yes.
Yeah, occasionally, yeah.
Oh, then you have like really random encounters with streamers where you've just gotten off the train and you're walking home and you happen to cross the road and pass them, and you're like, "Hey, you live in the same town as me."
I wonder who that could be.
Yeah.
That literally happened to Phid and I, because Phid used to live down the road from me, and we didn't know it for like.
We had no idea that we lived right down the road from each other until.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had do you guys know Creator?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I was just got off the train, walking across the road, and Craig is driving past me, looks out the corner of his window and smiles, and I was like, "Hey!" Just like randomly, like that's kind of what it's like living in.
What city was that in? Because you guys don't live in the same city. Oh wait, like recently?
Oh, it was. No, he lives.
Oh, I thought it was back in the
Melbourne.
day. Okay.
I don't know, it was very recent. It was like when we had the brief lockdown lift.
Yeah.
But yeah, you drove straight past. There are so many creators like in the southeast Melbourne area, I guess is where I'll say.
Yeah.
Well, there's 4 in your house, 5 in your house.
Yeah, I could name 3 within like 20 meters. All partnered.
If you shouted loud enough, would they also hear you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So the best way to network is just shout very loudly
at your window
that somebody hears you. Just yell your Twitch link into the sky.
If you want, maybe just go around yelling like PogChamp until someone pogs back and you're like,
hey! Okay.
And saying that
sounds like the worst thing in the world.
Have you guys ever met people because you've been wearing a Twitch hoodie?
Yes. Yeah.
Though not many.
If any.
I think my funniest Twitch hoodie interaction was actually in LA airport when I was going over for E3. And I got stopped by, you know what it's like getting through LAX, it's fucking terrible. But one of the guys who was one of the TSA people spotted the hoodie and called me out of the line and called me over. And I actually thought, shit, I'm in trouble, something's happened.
done.
The TSA.
And no, he was just like, oh, the Twitch hoodie, so I thought I'd call you over. Are you a streamer? And he was very disappointed to find out that I was not, in fact, a Twitch streamer. But that's the fastest that I've ever gotten through TSA at LAX.
It's a brave person who wears a hoodie through airport security for LAX specifically, because like I have a rule for LA where I don't even like I will be clean shaven and like nothing else, because like if I have anything other than like stock white guy, I immediately get stopped.
Okay, so I'm a tall, olive-skinned guy with a beard, right? So I assume I'm going to get stopped anyway.
Right, okay.
But I've also got a tattoo on my forearm that always gets me pulled up because it resembles an illegal gang in America. Why I wear the hoodie.
Is it?
So this is the subsegment of the
It's
networking.
categorized as an organized gang, but it's actually not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this sub-panel brought to you by how to get through airport security without too much fuss.
Well, it's also networking.
We're just networking.
But networking
know your TSA agent.
Yeah.
Meta networking.
That guy was trying to network with Phid, and then he's like, "Oh, you're not a streamer." Well, get out here.
Which is an interesting segue. I'm just gonna control the program here by picking the best times to segue, which is my other question is, where are the best places to network? And apparently, don't discount security in the airport in any airport.
Yeah. I mean, a streamer meetup is going to be, it's a bit of a basic and almost pointless answer, but everyone is there to network.
Yeah.
There will be people who are there just to see their friends, and that's fine. And they'll probably just be sitting at a table by themselves. Don't bug them. But like, the easiest way to get past the filter of like, some people are turned off by you having an agenda of wanting to network. There are people who have tall poppy syndrome. Yeah. If you're seen as trying, that's bad, right? That happens a lot in Australia, for example, right? If you're seen as trying to succeed, that is automatically grounds for you to be able to fail, right? But like, it's read the room. As PHIZZI was saying before, read the room. And part of reading the room is knowing your audience. It's knowing that I'm here to meet people is the vibe that you want them to be having when they meet you, not I'm in a bookstore.
My recommendation with reading the room is if you have to follow that person around to get their attention, it's probably because that they don't want to interact with you at the moment.
I feel like that's a general
and it
life
may not
advice.
Be a personal, right. It's not a personal thing. It's just they're sick of people coming and talking to them at that moment.
Well, they're just introverted as hell. I know a lot of big creators that are just like, well, I don't want to, like,
I was actually going to suggest exactly the same thing though, Leto, is those streamer meetups or content creator meetups or whatever. They're an awesome place. Generally, people are there to talk shit and have a good time and meet people.
Yeah. It's the one place where you can guarantee that the person will be in some way knowing what Twitch is, probably be open to meeting you, and like have their and it's not a question of having their guard down, but not having a huge guard up against meeting people, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was also going to say that's good for the, I guess, creator to creator networking, especially if you're looking for people to, I guess, learn more from or, I guess, collaborate with. Obviously, we should do a plug for PAX because that's a great place to, I guess, meet brands or people who work with brands.
Never heard of it.
Unironically, like, not like plug in just because, we're on PAX, but I think I've met most people at PAX. Yeah.
Yeah, I've met a heap of people at PAX. PAX is an awesome place for that. What's the digital thing at the moment? I think they've got a Discord at the moment for online PAX.
Yeah.
Jump in there, chat to people.
Yeah, if you're watching this panel right now, you there, I'm going to point direct the camera, go hop on the Discord and go say hi. But also, I guess, because we talked about online and offline, and since PAX Aus Online is going to be online, just someone start the counter of how many times I say the word online, would be see who's talking about PAX during the time. And it could be other creators, could be other brands, but anybody who's getting involved in the space, like look at the conversations. I think that's one of the other places, especially Twitter, because all you need to do is find the right keyword or the right hashtag, and you can be engaged and be involved, and then I guess sort of passively network that way, because you never know what kind of conversation you get into and the people you meet based on just, like-minded people.
Yeah.
Where is everybody?
PHIZZI and I are fighting to the death.
Just fighting.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
I'm
unfair.
thinking
It's kind of got like armor on. Oh, hey, welcome, buddy.
Yeah. I think he's winning, but I can't be sure.
I'm not entirely sure. I feel like I am.
Well, you are now, because you just got like 4 hits in. So I'm just going to run away like a coward.
You can't run from me. Get back here.
And, you can't find me, I quit.
Get back here, you bastard.
Hi.
Killed him.
To go back to your question, Fran, I'm curious to see what the other guys think about this one as well, is just meeting people in streamers' Discords or different community groups on Discord as well.
Reddit is pretty good as well. As a community manager, I think one of the really good places to go for is there. A really good stop as well is some of the networking Facebook groups, if you're into that. Not all of them are there as Facebook gaming creators. Some of them are, but there are ones there for Twitch streamers, YouTubers, etc. And you usually need to be looking for, like, I think there's like startup or new streamer or new tuber. That kind of name is a good one if you're starting out, because people are usually there to get advice, get tips, and also find collaborators for things. So you'll find the peoples if you look, is what I'm trying to get at. And there's so many online communities. I mean, I'm also going to plug the fact that GGWP has its own online communities, and all we do is talk about content creation and all this kind of fun professionalizing parts of it. Because we've done stuff on networking, we've done stuff on, mental health and, pitches and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think you can't dismiss online, and for sure, I want to do a plug for online plus offline. Because I think I learned this from you, Phid. One of the first things you do after you get your business cards, you get like a whole stack of them at the end of an event, and then you just go through and you start adding people. And you start reaching out to anybody that's like cool that you want to
I've got a personal thing that if I meet a content creator that I like or that I want to potentially do stuff with or whatever, I'll always add them on somewhere like Twitter within half an hour of meeting them. And in a professional sense, if I meet somebody from business or a company or whatever, I always add them within half an hour on LinkedIn, because you want to sort of be first and still in their mind when they come across that notification and remember who you are.
Yeah.
But that's also followed up by you have to sort of put yourself out there, and this is in real life too, is putting yourself out there and talking to them and communicating, like if it's on LinkedIn or on Twitter, joining in conversations and giving your 2 cents on just random bullshit that people are talking about. But at an event, putting yourself out there to join conversations.
Yeah. But I like how you can combine both. And I think given the whole COVID life now, it's going to be weird because I think we're back to online again for PAX, but I'd like to be hopeful and say that we're going to be back next year. And people should definitely be using both online and offline spaces whenever they can to kind of take advantage. Also because I think Fitzy, you were saying you haven't really networked much on within Australia, but I'm guessing you got a lot of contacts like internationally. I think everybody here has a lot of contacts internationally.
That was like originally, that was like before. It took me a while to like get out to events and stuff, but they've been around for 6 years now. But like for the first, I'd say like year and a half, I didn't do much.
Yeah, but I guess like
physically
at an event, you might run into people who aren't going to be in your time zone. So definitely hitting them up, not in person, is going to be good. I do words good. Hi.
words are hard. This one, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, but
I think to network successfully, it's like use online and offline. They're both great.
Yeah.
Offline's much
If
easier.
you're online, then
I mean, online's much easier. So
yeah, I was gonna say the good segue. My last question in this little program I have in front of me. Do's and don'ts. Do you guys have rules of thumb? Rules of thumbs rule. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
That you guys recommend or follow, or like rules for yourself that you definitely just like definitely do this, definitely don't do this.
Okay, my first one is don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a general one. Like, after you've met somebody or just whatever, just don't be a dick. Always assume that whatever you say will potentially get back to almost everybody.
Yeah.
So being a dick is just going to get you nowhere. But the other one is be respectful, especially if you're networking at a place like PAX. Be respectful that people are also, there's a lot of people that are doing their job as well as meeting people. It's not just an event for a lot of people. They're there. Like for myself, I'm managing shit. One year I was managing 8 different activations in one day. So stressed out, don't mind talking, but if I do look busy and I say, hey, love to catch up with you, not right now, just respect those boundaries. But it's the same with a content creator as well. Their chances are like they've got to get to an event that they're supposed to be on stage or streaming from a booth or whatever. And knowing most content creators, they're probably running late for that.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
That's my one. Just don't be a dick and respect people and their boundaries.
I guess my rule is know who to talk to. I guess I should be a bit more cynical in terms of like my job is to get people who are streamers money to a degree, right? Like purely that kind of thing. So figure out who you should be talking to rather than scattergun. If you do have an agenda, right? Hit someone up who's the front-facing person, right? Don't just shotgun approach every single person you see. If you want to get work with Ubisoft, find out who the Ubisoft community managers are, right? Email them because they have an email which is community facing, which is there for if you want to code for Rainbow Six, then you send them your details, your like general vibe of your stream, your links, and you say, hey, I would like to do something with this, right? If it's just a code, or are there any opportunities available for this kind of thing, right? Yeah. Knowing who to talk to is like, if you are going to be networking for networking's sake rather than network for experiences, and we can talk about networking for experience later, but if you want to get somewhere with networking, like do an amount of research if it's online. If it's offline and you're at a party, then whatever, all bets are off. It's just
but look, you can do some research as well, right? In that way, asking your mates, hey, do you know if this person's here? I wanted to talk to them.
Yeah, right. But like, don't just like have a plan, I guess.
Yeah.
If your plan is to make friends, do so by talking to someone that no one else seems to be talking to, who seems to be lonely, or just to talk to people, or just hang out with people. But if you want business opportunities, do so in a way that behooves business opportunities. Talk to the people through the channels that they've made available for this to happen, right? Email the representative who is in charge of doing that. And you'll usually be able to find that through the community, right? If you go on Bethesda's posts, sooner or later you'll find one of Bethesda's social media managers or community managers, and they are the right person to be talking to if you are professionally interested in like Bethesda games.
Yes.
Or whoever.
Shout out to
I guess if you can't find their email, then just ask someone, because they'll probably know anyway.
Yeah, someone will know it. Someone will know it.
I think I have an expansion point on PHIZZI, which is don't be a dick. There's one where it's like knowing how to talk to people. A few people do this where they, they interact with people on Twitter in a certain way. Like someone looks good and they're like, God, step on me, please. If you walk up to someone and say that to them in real life, it might be a little bit weird. And a lot of people kind of like blur the boundary of like, Twitter and, like real life interaction.
Yeah.
I think by being more friendly than what they think they are with the person, because it's easy to be like, you know, maybe a bit overly friendly in like an online space, because it's kind of like, yeah, you know, but you transitioning into an online or an offline space, like in person, it gets be a bit weird, you know. So I think Leto touched on it earlier. Just kind of like assume that you're like, if you haven't met this person multiple times, that you're just meeting him for the first time, you know.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you might not be meeting them for the first time, like you're a viewer of their channel. But just because PHIZZI might be awful at games and like has a running joke that he's absolutely just terrible at any game that's ever existed,
I'm so bad.
doesn't mean that if he's hanging out with his friends at a party, you should go up to him and go, "Hey, it's that guy who sucks at games and you suck." That's
Yeah, that's a good one too.
maybe an in-joke that should stay on the internet because this isn't the same room of people.
While we're talking about people on the internet, this is a good rule of thumb as well, is just because you know somebody's real name, always assume that they don't want their real name used.
Yeah.
So most content creators, I will call them by their online name at PAX or whatever, purely because I'm just going to assume that they don't want their government name to be known.
Fair.
Yeah.
Hey!
Hey?
Sorry, I just had to.
Shenanigans happen.
Yeah,
I'm missing all of this.
Had to cut Phid down.
Oh, I see who's there.
See how high up I was?
No,
Very
I
high.
missed it.
Do you know how good the fall was?
Someone is really
Great.
ticking off an Enderman in the distance, and I feel for you.
Oh, sorry. Is that audio coming through?
No, I actually turned down my audio about 15 minutes ago.
That is a good idea. I've been trying to die by Enderman in the background slowly.
Slowly,
I've
but
got
surely.
one at
Succeed.
school now. Yeah.
I saw you following one around just before.
I'm just trying to make sure I captured the shenanigans that are happening around me, but I have to concentrate on where we're at in questions, where the conversation's going, and wherever the hell everyone is, and also control the weather. Hi, welcome to community management. But no, I was gonna say, I think in a previous interview or a previous panel, I've said, you know, if you're looking for the person to talk to a community manager, because part of their job is to be in contact with the community, so you can actually kind of make a person's day by just saying hi and letting them know that you exist. Because we can't be everywhere at once, even though we might look like we are, but we're not. But we just have a very good set of skills. I was gonna say,
also let your local community manager know if you appreciate their work, because
aw,
often it's
Because
gone.
2/3 of their Twitter reactions are
usually pretty
just
shit.
people abusing them for something that
they didn't do, yeah.
that corporate
So if
global
you
did
genuine-
about a item balance or something.
Yeah. If you do appreciate them and you see them, like, let them know, because it can totally make a community manager's day.
Yeah.
Yeah. How to make a community manager happy. This sub-panel brought to you by...
Yeah. Am I getting trapped in a very slowly growing stage here?
Yes. My other thing, I wanted to do a shout out to the introverts and the people out there who I guess have either social anxiety or people who have other kinds of like general anxiety disorder. Don't let that stop you from networking, because you can still network even if, you know, you've got a different way of viewing things, or you have different feelings and emotions, and I feel you in that sense.
I'd actually say, those extroverted people out there, support your introvert mates and be there when they want to meet somebody.
Yeah. Obviously, some of the circumstances and the advice changes slightly when you're introverted, in which case online might be a better case for you, like was mentioned earlier. But if you're invited to any event where it's a bit quieter, even at a bar event, again, we need to move away from bars. I will happily go network with people at like a boba place. Saying I like tea more than I like.
That sounds infinitely better.
I will organize that as soon as I can.
Networking at loud venues is
I mean, you
worst
can
thing
find
ever.
a quiet spot usually. You'll find that yes, a lot of business gets done at those kinds of places, but people will kind of find like the quieter places where you can kind of just
which
talk.
defeats the purpose of being at those places.
Yes.
Entirely.
But you'll find them, and people will usually be, I guess, pretty accommodating. But definitely for sure, use a wingman, like Phid was suggesting, is if you get some support from your more extroverted friends. If you need an introduction from a friend, like don't feel too bad about asking for it, because I'm talking exactly to that one introverted person who's watching this. You're gonna feel a little bit bad about like, oh, I don't want to, encroach in your time. I don't want to bother you, but just do it. It's gonna be less scary every single time, even though it's a little scary every single time.
Yeah.
And
Can I expand on that one real quick?
yes, please.
I just want to say that most, not all, but there are a lot of creators, like regardless of how extroverted they seem on camera, are probably more than likely introverted themselves.
100%.
Yeah, people on camera, no matter like how loud or beaming they are often definitely not the same in person. And are more than likely themselves quite introverted.
I would actually say, without naming any names, a couple of the biggest Australian content creators are the most introverted people I know in this industry. There's one in particular I'm thinking about.
I will drop a name, which you might be thinking of, Fruity. Do you know? Yeah, so Loser Fruit, I edit some videos for Fruity. The first time I met Fruity, I was like, oh my god, I feel like I offended her entire family and generations of her family, because I was like, oh, but it's just like even the biggest creators are just like kind of introverted, and that's okay.
Yeah. And she's a lovely person, and she's genuinely that person that she is on camera when she's at home or when she's around people she knows really well. But in person, if you've just met her, she is definitely that person who was like, just keep your distance from me until you're in my circle of trust.
Especially because for someone like her, you've got so many people trying to constantly take that advantage and network with the big person that it can get extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
It can be very daunting.
Everyone's seen someone crowd around the person of the hour.
Correct.
And it sucks to be that person unless you're just, I guess, a massive narcissist, right? It feels good the first time, but by 20 millionth, just be gone, please.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
I would like to, right?
Respect comes back to respect boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also gonna say, if you're introverted, don't force yourself. You'll find moments where you can get into the conversation, and they're there, even if it feels like the loud person, i.e. me, is running over to go talk to someone. Most people, and I'm talking about when people have walked up to me, I'm just like, yeah, if I see you and you approach me, and I will usually give you time to say hi if I can. The only exception is when there's too much stuff happening at the same time, and which is why I think, Phid, the other tip you have, which I think I probably will start doing, is you pre-apologize for being busy on a event weekend.
Yes.
For sorry, if I run away, this is why.
Yeah. Because I'm also doing my day job.
Yeah.
On the busiest weekend of the gaming year.
Yeah. Don't take it personally, introverted people. It's just people running around. Fine.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever held Phid down for more than 30 seconds. Yeah, I quite like.
Time he holds me down, he gives me a big kiss.
Aww.
Yeah, I mean, I love Phid. I don't ever get to hang out with Phid much, but Phid, I think you're awesome. But yeah, God, you're in an event. It's infuriating to try. You get halfway through a conversation, he's like, I gotta go, and I'm like, I know you're the most.
You're one of the ones. And look, most people do get it. Most people are super accommodating, but I have had heard secondhand where someone's gone, oh, I tried talking to Phid and he totally blew me off.
Yeah.
It can feel like that.
On that note, same thing online. If someone doesn't reply to you, double check before you start getting angry if there's a game launch, if there's a product launch, if there's some kind of other situation going on right now.
So you have no idea what's going on in their real life outside of work.
But work situations could be what's
and
stopping
that's something I know Leto could attest to in the last couple of years, is you have no idea what somebody's going through in their real life.
Yeah, I've known quite a few people who I've talked to in private, and they've just been like, there's this whole thing going on here.
Yeah.
Someone's clearly PHIZZI has something going on right now.
I saw that.
But I'll be talking to someone in private, and they'll mention something that was pretty heavy or pretty big that they don't want to put into their fun time show that they do to make people happy, right? So people not replying to you isn't a thing on you necessarily, right?
Yeah.
It could be. If someone isn't and it's a pattern, maybe figure out what you've been doing and what you could do differently. Right? I'm not going to say doing wrong, but there are things that work for some people. Things that work for some people don't work for others, right?
Yeah. Correct.
I've made friends with people through being a big shouty idiot, and I've been made friends with people through refraining from doing so.
Yeah.
And pretending I'm not a big shouty idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, right
Also-
place, right time, and luck will help with that.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Don't assume somebody doesn't like you or anything either because they haven't given you time at an event or whatever. Because that's chances are it's absolutely not true.
Yeah. Because thinking from the mind of someone who I guess has anxiety, sometimes you start making assumptions about like, oh no, they hate me, I did something wrong or something like that. But sometimes like just take a step back. There's circumstances that you can't see. That would be like my biggest tip for sure, other than the ones that have already been mentioned. Okay. I wanna introduce a question here related to do's and don'ts. Would you guys still be taking business cards next time you're somewhere in person?
It seems rude not to.
And or will you have your business cards ready? Because I want to know if we're still in business card land or wow.
Is it because of the whole COVID situation?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I will, because part of my job is outreach to people who don't understand that we live in 2021.
Yeah.
So to a basic part of like my professional career, it's going to be that, because you can't guarantee that someone is up to date with any of the things that Phid said about having the online presence, right?
Yeah.
But personally, I would rather just Google you or like search you on Twitter, and then that's pretty much a business card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've only personally ever used business cards like once. And I'm a criminal offender of like, if you give me a business card, I will totally lose it on accident, whether it's like leaving it in my pocket and then putting it through the wash or something. I mean, I don't have anything against people still using business cards. I've personally just never seen the value in them. I mean, I might have reached out to one or two people. Even like now with the whole, hygiene thing, I think the more important thing is to like, hey, if you're in a space and want to network with people, maybe be hygienic, and then like, business card at that point. Like,
Look, I'm probably not going to be too scared of the whole business card thing myself because I'm just going to be super cautious when it comes to hand sanitizing, and maybe that'll be.
Oh,
the occasion
sorry.
where-
Did you mean like right now business cards?
No, like talking like next year when we go back to PAX.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
We're going back to PAX, firstly.
Yeah.
That's happening.
rest in peace. No.
Oh, you're a survivor.
Yeah, and the question is, are they still relevant, and are you guys still going to be using them or collecting?
I think they're still going to be relevant. I just think exactly sort of to what Leto was saying earlier. Let's just be a bit more hygienic.
Yeah.
That was fizzy.
I was actually helping out one of our advocates in the GGWP community, and she was asking whether it would be useful to have a QR code on her business card. And I was like, I haven't really seen them, but I said because of COVID, especially in Australia, that we're so used to dealing with QR codes, they're familiar now. I was like, go for it. Chuck on a bit.ly link that you can track and see how many people actually use your business card.
I have one. I don't think it does anything, but it's there, and there's no downside.
Yeah.
They don't cost money to generate.
I've seen a very cool one. Someone had like a little watch, but it was just a QR code. And they're like, "Oh, what's your name? Like, how can I find you?" And then it's like, "Scan me."
Yeah.
That is cool.
And that's
I
a
was like,
contactless way to do it. Like, maybe you don't have a stack of business cards. Maybe you're just like, here, scan me. From like a safe
like scan me.
distance.
Here you go. You'll find me. You're a boom. And maybe it just links straight to your like.
Do you know what I'd like to see adopted? And I've seen this more at corporate events like Microsoft events and stuff in the past. Is where all of the lanyards actually had RFID.
Yeah, that like lanyards would be good though.
Yeah, but so having a lanyard with an RFID, like if everybody's lanyard had RFID, you could register all your details on it, and then just scan it with your phone.
Yeah, I mean, if I can find it, I've got my business card does that.
Okay, we're gonna everyone sharing business. I don't have a
So,
business
so
card.
Yeah, we're gonna Patrick Bateman it.
to the powers that be at PAX, you know, if you want to explore
like this, but with a larger.
and I'm more than
thing,
happy
right?
to make this happen.
But like,
Yeah.
this my business card is just like it's there, and you can.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you a business card. I'm not cutting down a tree for my vanity, right?
Chuck 'em on
At
your
this
PAX
page.
passes for 2021, please. PAX.
I've probably given out a bajillion business cards, and I feel like the amount that I got versus the amount of trees that got cut down versus how many times I could have gotten away with 5 business cards just in case you're a Luddite and
Yeah.
1 scannable chip
Yeah.
is an astronomical difference.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
another tip though for people who are networking at events like PAX and handing out business cards and stuff. I at PAX will always hand out my business card because it's just the easiest way to give people all of my contact information in one place. If you get a business card from somebody and you email them after the event, give them some time to get through their inbox because,
Yeah.
like I said, like
They will be
PAX
swamped.
is PAX in particular is the busiest weekend in the gaming year in Australia.
And reintroduce yourself again. Maybe mention the
reintroduce yourself.
context you saw
Yeah.
them in.
But also don't expect a reply from them when you email them like within a week or so. Like there's people like me who I take a couple of days off after PAX because I'm knackered.
Because PAX Pox.
Yeah, and then you've got like a massively overflowing inbox, and chances are it's going to take me a week to get through that after PAX.
Yep. And it's
Yeah.
game launch season, so if you're asking
It's
someone
just
from
before Christmas.
yeah,
Swamped. Yeah.
Again, don't people don't take it personally. Don't be offended. Genuinely, people will try to get back when they can.
Yeah.
I think you end up usually putting an out of office reply, and that'll usually help sort that kind of an issue. So
yeah.
you can apply that for yourself if you're a content creator as well. If you're,
I mean, look, if you personally, I don't get offended if you ping me back a month later if I haven't gotten in touch with you because I haven't gotten in touch. Ping me back.
yeah,
And I think most people are going to be fine with that as well.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's common courtesy, really. I don't like on the topic of like reaching out to community managers and stuff. I don't think anyone will ever intentionally ignore you.
No.
So just
Yeah.
always assume that they missed it, and that's how it is.
As long as you haven't been a dick.
Yeah, unless you're a dick to them, but you know, if you don't have
Yeah.
that level of self-awareness, then networking for you might be tough.
Yeah.
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 Usually,
Maybe
if
a
you-
whole
if-
different panel.
usually the worst that a community manager will say is like, "We don't have any codes for that," and
Yeah.
and maybe they're letting you down gently because they have a certain amount of size created that they are only allowed to give codes to or something.
or they only
Yeah.
have this many codes.
Yeah,
And
right.
Me,
They have
me and
6
Leto
codes.
literally had this conversation this week in a meeting where some publishers just don't have the budget to give everyone what they want.
Yeah,
I think that's just life as well. Which is why I try to tell people, you know, the art of don't take things personally. There's so many circumstances to take into account.
that didn't happen. Sorry.
I saw that. I felt that in my soul.
No, I did. No, it just must have been the wind.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
don't
think,
take things personally because
That's one of the best skills you can have is to not take things personally.
100%.
and the more you practice that the better. Honestly, like for
It's
yourself.
great for you.
And again, I'm talking to the people with various levels of anxiety here. 'Cause I get that. I get that too. It can be difficult, especially when you're not having the best day. But you know, when you come in prepared, it makes your life a lot easier. I want to wrap us up now because we're actually running a little bit longer than I expected. Apparently, if we leave us in a room for I don't know how long, we will not stop talking for all of PAX. If we could have the entire
Definitely
Wait, more
Fizz's
like-
fault.
the
Yeah,
entire
definitely.
event's
Yeah.
length. But I'd like to do some thank yous to all of you, Phid, Leto, PHIZZI, for your time, for your advice, for everything else. I'm hoping that everybody who's tuning into this particular panel, you know, have come away with a bunch of tips that they might not have had before, or you know, if they want to learn more, this is the perfect time now for plugs. If you guys are open to people reaching out to you for networking, well, get it. Where can people
don't do
find
that,
you,
sorry.
or where can people find your companies? Phid, go first. Or Leto, go
I mean,
first.
Easiest me is just at Letofski on
Everything.
Twitch or everything, right? Or leto@gamertalent.com.au if you have a specific question for a professional thing, but my DMs are always open on stuff anyway.
Yeah.
If you find me, you can probably talk to me.
Yeah. So you can find GGWP Academy at GGWP Academy on everything. You can find me as well. Give me a follow on Twitter and tweet me. Look, I would recommend you don't DM me because I've got this horrible auto DM I can't figure out how to turn off.
We'll
Is
sort
it
that out
still
later.
there?
It's still there, and I still can't figure
What
out.
about your
how to
like radio show?
Testing this later.
it's
5
something like
million
that.
years
Yeah.
ago? Yeah.
But yeah, flick me a tweet. At Phid McAwesome. I'm at Phid McAwesome on everything. Don't bother following me on Twitch. I don't do anything there. But yeah, give me a follow. Hit me up.
Fizzy,
You'll find me under my name. I'm assuming there'll be lower third somewhere on the stream.
There's no
that PAX
lower
is
third.
doing.
It's just full
There's no
Minecraft.
lower thirds. You'll find me on Twitch at PHIZZI. And then you'll find all my other socials. If you can't, then just search Fizzy on Twitter and you'll probably find me.
Yeah.
And if you don't, well,
I mean, they could also
Probably
probably just go to Leto and be like, "Hey, we saw this panel. We saw this guy."
Yeah. yeah. On that note, like if you do have any questions or whatnot, feel free to swing by my Twitch stream. I'm live most nights. I will answer everything in excruciating detail, possibly 30-minute rants. Or just reach out to me on Twitter or Discord. They're both open. If you have any questions, shoot. Whether you're existing or new into wanting to do all this stuff, then
Whether you're ephemeral and
I've always been someone that's
non-physically-
like, yo, you want in? I'll help you get in. So if you're interested, then come my way.
Not a gatekeeper.
Not a gatekeeper. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I've done this for 6 years. You don't know what it's like. you have subscriber buttons and emotes with 3 viewers.
back in my
You've
day.
What is this?
got to earn your place before you
I had to get partnered to get any money. yeah.
Oh,
Leto remembers those days, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Fidz already mentioned the GGWP Academy handles. It's also ggwp.academy on Instagram. I am the one monitoring all of those channels. We get DMs all the time.
Can people
across the
follow
board.
you though, Fran?
They will, but let me mention kind of like my office hours. I will usually reply to DMs on the GWP panels, live chat, email, everything within a day, within a business day. And again, don't take it personally if I don't get back to you within a business day because probably something's happening. My personal handles, while I fix the weather real quick, on Twitter is F_Meliton. Don't worry, you'll find me like mentioned by people on the GWP channels if you don't know how to spell my last name. Don't worry about it. And then everywhere else is F_Meliton with no underscore because Twitter is the one holdout where I can't get my handle. Of course. My DMs are always open. GGWP DMs are also always open. We help out creators all the time, whether it's like questions like I mentioned before, like how should I do a business card, or I'm looking at switching from Twitch, which has happened more times this year than you think. But yeah, we're all about like helping each other out. So, say hi, send me a GIF, send us a GIF.
Oh, hang on. Right at the end. Right at the
I had to
end.
ruin it. That's it. I'm
GIF?
disassociating, friend.
Cut the tape.
I'm out.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording. Sorry, tweet at me about whether it's GIF or GIF. There.
It's Jeff.
It's GIF.
It's GIF.
It's not a giraffical.
It's a giraffical.
That's what the G stands for. Graphical. G.
Yeah, but it's
Death
not
of the
it's not a
author.
giraffe.
Maybe to you.
It's a giraffe.
Do you say giraffical? Because if so, I heartily apologize.
I put graphics on my presentations all the time.
Giraffic design is my passion.
Yes.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
And
Best
on that
ending
note,
to a panel ever. I ruined it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Yeah, if you are tuning into other PAX panels, definitely go see everything else that's happening. May as well plug whatever else is coming up after us for us, or know how this is going to work. But yeah, thanks, everybody.